figure out what camera are you on right now?
I'm on the new one.
The new one?
Yeah, it was a setting like that. I think this is about as good as I'm going to get with these two small black bars on the side. But it was a setting in the photography settings, not the video settings, which was weird.
Mm.
All right. Anybody got anything before we go live?
No.
Oh, here you go, Marco.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I was gonna comment on it before you left.
Yeah, when we go live.
Nice.
All right. Micah, you good? Yep. Hey, Dr. Tom, how do you say your last name? Is it HOURIN?
HOURIN.
HOURIN? Okay.
HOURIN, yeah.
HOURIN, okay.
Dr. Stretch.
There you go.
All right, 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Fish and Grits, the podcast. Actually, this is episode 4 of season 2, episode 36 overall. Actually, I think I misspoke. This is 37?
Yeah.
Yeah, so last time I called it 37. So actually, welcome to the official episode 37. Today is January 20th, 2021. Today was Inauguration Day. We won't dive too deep into the political side of things, but, you know, the ceremony itself is a representation of who we are as a country. So it was a beautiful ceremony. You know, a lot of things went as planned. And for some, you could say it's a return to normalcy. Did you guys watch? Any of you watch?
Well, when I got to my mom's house, I was trying to set up my my Roku for something. So I caught a little bit of Kamala walking with the Kamala gang down to up the steps and then waving at everybody. That's all I saw. I didn't see anything else.
Oh, so when they were leaving?
I don't think they were leaving. I think they were coming.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So with their entrance.
Yeah, they were just walking down the street. I was like, dang, y'all in the open like that? Aren't y'all scared?
I mean, they literally turned Washington, D.C. into a fob, man. Like, it was a literal active military base.
That cleared everybody out of the city for a second.
Yeah, for blocks in every direction.
Lord.
So, you know, here we are, 2021, back on course, and we are bringing to you today another guest that we've been speaking to for a while, trying to get in communication with and bring onto the show, albeit technology was blocking it for quite some time. We welcome to the show today someone who is sports adjacent, I would say. It's something that is very closely related to sports, as if anyone has ever played sports, they've often had to go to physical therapists. They've often had to go to the doctor for some sort. And this is someone who has connections with many sports teams and many athletes here in Georgia. We bring to the show today Dr. HOURIN, a.k.a. the Stretch Doctor. He is the Stretch Doctor of Stretch Dynamics here in North Atlanta. He is a recovery specialist and a stretch doctor for pro athletes and actors. He is also the team doctor for the Georgia Swarm. He has worked on many of our favorite athletes. If you just go to his page, it is well documented of the many people that he has worked with. You'll scroll down and be like, oh, I know who that is. I know who that is. I know who that is. So we welcome to Fish and Grits, Dr. HOURIN.
How you doing?
Doing well. How about yourself, sir?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, you know, thanks for coming on. It was good talking to you. We'll catch you next time, man.
Thanks for having me.
It was good talking to you. Yeah, thanks a million for joining me.
Yeah.
What you got behind you? What's that? Your background?
Oh, it's a wall with the pictures. I set up a wall and I have the athletes sign it. So I take pictures with them when they come in for treatment and get develop it, put it up on the wall. So when they come back in, they sign it for me.
Nice. So you're at the office right now?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Cool. So, I guess we already did our current event, so we can just jump right into the questions. So we were talking a little bit before we started, just a little bit about your background, and we didn't go too deep, so we could save some of this great content for the listeners. But I just want to let everybody know this man is 6'7". Did you
hold up?
Yeah.
So he's were you a small forward or power forward? Or did you play?
I played a little bit when I was really young. for a church league.
Okay, so we can frame this through the question. So pretty much, I just want you to walk us through your early life. Things like, were you into kids sports as a kid, and then what eventually led you into the medical field?
Okay. Yeah, I played sports when I was younger. When I was younger, I played like baseball and basketball. I played basketball for my church. It was a little like rec league. And then I played like little league baseball. And those are the sports that I played for quite a long time. And then when I got into high school, I didn't play baseball. I didn't play basketball. I played football and I wrestled. I went completely different path.
Just to give us an idea, when did you reach your full height? Were you already 6'7" at the start of high school?
No, I think my senior year I was like hovering between 6'5" and 6'6". I got another inch there, a little shortly after high school. But yeah, I was about 6'5", 6'6".
You should have went into pro wrestling.
Yeah,
for real, man.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Right. Yeah. So in high school, I just I wrestled and I played football. I actually was going to go out for the basketball team. I actually did go out for the basketball team, but it was like a funny confusion thing. And never ended up happening, and I ended up going out for the wrestling team, and I loved it. So it's
Wait, what weight class was that in for what wrestling?
It's different than it is now. So I was heavyweight. I was like just it went from, I think it was 189 and then went to heavyweight. So anything, if you were 190, you were wrestling guys that were like 200, 230 pounds. So right. I felt bad for those guys. You got to drop weight and go to 189 or something like that. But yeah, so I was a heavyweight.
Okay.
Jeez. Yeah. What was this mix-up or this confusion that led you to not play basketball? I'm interested.
All right, so it's kind of funny. So I went out and I was obviously the tallest kid in the high school, and so the basketball coach, hey, we got to get you out for the team. I'm like, yeah, not a problem. I played for my church for a long time, and so I went out, for the team, and I forget exactly what it was. It was something like, if you made the team, they would post the paper with who made the team in the locker room on the coach's window, right? And like I said, I can't remember if it was, if you made the team, your name was on it, or if you didn't make the team, your name was on it, right? So whichever it was, I thought it was the opposite, right? So I went in there and I was like, my name's not on here, and it was like, I was like, oh man, I guess I didn't make the team. And so, I was bummed, but, like I said, I went for the wrestling team, but I ran into the coach a couple weeks later, and he's like, what happened? I was like, what do you mean what happened? I was like, you cut me. He's like, cut you? We would never cut you. You're the tallest person, in the school. And he's like, I said, well, my name wasn't on the paper. He said, yeah, whatever it is. It's like, well, your name wasn't on the paper because everybody was on there was cut. It's like, I was like, well, it's too late now. So, but yeah, so I fell in love with wrestling anyway. So yeah.
What a crazy coincidence is for them to not come up to the tallest kid and be like, yo, what happened? Two weeks later.
I wish he would have said something sooner.
It's all good.
The next practice, like, where's our center?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
So going from the sports element, so you say you were playing, by the way, I don't know if we mentioned, but this is all taking place in New Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey. Yep.
So, how did you go from sort of being an amateur athlete or playing sports in high school to be entering the medical field?
Well, I guess it was, it was a kind of like an interest and fascination in how the body worked. You know what I mean? As far as for those sports, back when I was in high school, that was the whole. Everybody had their fanny pack and their, their bodybuilding pants is what they were called, the baggy loose pants. Yeah. And you went to the gym, so, besides playing the sport that you played. So it always interested me, like, how can you improve the body? How can you correct things, change things? How do things work? Just probably even just to start with, like how does this move this? How does this turn this? So it's just always fascinating. And then just from there, I just went from one thing to the next. I went to school for nutrition. And I did that. And I was like, well, I want to learn about massage and how the muscles work. So I went to school for massage. And then, from there, I was like, well, I went to chiropractic college, and it just kept building and building, and, then a stretch therapist. So it just, it was a fascination on how things work and how can you prove it, and it just kept feeding on top of it.
Oh, that's really cool. I didn't know you're certified pretty much across the gambit in all the facets of health and nutrition. And
yeah. I mean, some of it, I like nutrition part. I don't even like it no more. I haven't done it in years and years and years. It's just the worst part of about the whole thing, because so many things change, so many opinions change, and you could set somebody up on a great diet plan, or educate them on how to eat and all that stuff, and then the next day they come in and I'm like, hey, what about this Pritikin diet? And you're like, start back from square one. I was like, I'm done. Yeah, nutrition's not, I don't have the patience for it, and I was done with it.
That's a great point. It's so, like, with the times, like, it changes every single day almost.
Yeah, and people are so informed on it. It's so in the news that everybody has, like, opinion, and you can give them great nutrition advice, and if they see something on TV like a new fad diet, everything you just told them went right out the window, and they're like focused on that fad diet. So it's like, yeah,
gotta do this now.
I mean, just growing up, I remember hearing, "Oh, this is bad for you. Oh, actually, it's good for you." Yeah. It's like eggs. I think they went back and forth like 6 times in my youth.
Like, eggs will kill you.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, what?
Yep, exactly. Perfect point.
Yeah, that's one of the health sciences that I would say I would not be interested in, because, like you said, it's a ton of work.
Yeah.
So pretty much you've been involved in. So ever since college, you've been involved on the path to, what would you call, like, the whole field as a whole? What?
Just healthcare.
Healthcare.
Just healthcare. Because it's different facets. But yeah, that was my path. Just healthcare the whole time.
Okay, and then I guess when did that lead to starting to take on clients and things like that?
To take on clients, well, I went, obviously, I did a little bit of work each step along the way, but when I became a chiropractor, that's when it got more serious.
Okay.
It became more of a, this is the deal. This is what I do, and how can I improve on it and do it the best. Yeah.
So I read an interview that it was a chronic condition that led you to develop your dynamic stretch system. Could you kind of explain what the condition was and what about it led to you creating the program?
Yeah. So it was actually an ongoing thing that I had dealt with since I was a kid. Started out as like different, I would get what's called like palpitations. They would call it, like speeding up heartbeats. I had it since I was a little kid. All the sports, everything I did, always had it. And it was just something you kept. The doctor would say, keep your eye on it. We just keep our eye on it. And I would have what we call like a little tax, where it would, my heart would race. Like, I'd be sitting and it'd be 170 beats a minute, just sitting doing nothing. And then I have to get it to, calm down or go out of that attack, if that's what what I used to call it. And so, that progressed and always went and, to the doctor, what's going on, what's the progress, what's going on with it now. And if they found out that I had like a kind of like a congenital defect in my heart. And so it's been, like I said, something I've been dealing with my whole life, but about, I don't know, let's say I basically had an open heart surgery about 3 years ago. And so like 3-4 years before that, it just kind of came to a head. Like I was battling a lot of the symptoms and stuff. And so that's what caused me, I was a chiropractor. I wasn't able to, I felt like I couldn't really use the strength to do the things that I had to do, some of the maneuvers and some of the techniques and stuff. And so it led me to, well, what can I do? What can I do until I figure this out? And I always had done like kind of stretching with people. Before their adjustment, I would stretch their neck or something to that effect. So, and people, they enjoyed it. Like they would always ask, can you get that part before the adjustment? So I knew people liked it. So I said, hey, maybe this is something I could do. It's a little bit easier on my body until I figure this out. And that's pretty much how it started. I looked around at what was going on and what was being offered. I did a little freelance stuff to see what it was like. And I saw what was there. I saw what was lacking. And I kind of took everything that was around me and my knowledge and my background, and I made a system that I thought was more medical based, not just, throwing things together, but more based on medical knowledge. And it was born. And that's how it was born. And then, Stretch Dynamics, which is the original company, actually kind of morphed into what I do now, which is sports dynamics. So I have Stretch Dynamics. I still have a facility in Alpharetta, but the new place I opened is kind of like the morph into it, which is sports dynamic. So like, more athlete oriented.
Yeah.
That's right here in Norcross, correct?
Yeah. Well, so I had a Stretch Dynamics location in Norcross, and so I opened up right down the road in Duluth, what I called Sports Dynamics. Sports Dynamic Recovery, and I kind of, instead of having two places right down the road, I just kind of pulled that into the same facility. It's a bigger facility. I pulled that into there, and I kind of do the same thing under one roof.
So essentially, so you were doing the chiropractic work, and then so like you're saying that you couldn't necessarily get the power because of your condition. You couldn't you didn't have the power to I guess do some of the things that you needed to work to do the chiropractic procedures.
Yeah, it felt like, not that I didn't have the power. It's just I felt it's very draining. The symptoms and stuff like that I was dealing with were, very draining, tired a lot. There'd be points where I have, again, like what I call little episodes where I'd literally, stop in the middle of the day and I'd have to just go lay down and just relax, take it easy, just because of what was going on. And so I figured I had to do something that was maybe a little bit easier for a little bit until I figured it out. Then I had the surgery, and they corrected the issue, and that was a traumatic experience, itself. Recovering from that took a long time. Just the severity of what they did, and then just from there, I just kind of just kept going. Just said, now I'm gonna build on it, make it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then so not long after the surgery, that's when I just kind of hit the gas pedal and just said, I got to hit this with make this something bigger.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you kind of describe to us how dynamic stretching is unique from chiropractic or therapeutic or even yoga, as far as like their stretching, your stretching techniques?
Yeah. Okay. So, well, it's different because of how I morphed it into something that's my own. And now, like I said, it's even morphed into another thing. So when I originally started it, it was different because I would add different aspects of stretching or medical modalities into it. Like no one was doing PNF stretching, which is proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. It's a more medical, if you ask me, based stretching. And so we offered that as part of our menu. And then, like I said, then that morphed into the stretching on top of the recovery, which is, we were adding the chiropractic into it. We were cupping, what's called instrument assisted soft tissue mobilization or scraping. Just adding different things into it. But for the stretch itself, the main thing was knowing how to add what's needed at the right times. Meaning, there's only so many stretches you can do with the body. There's only so many ways you could stretch a hamstring. So it's what else can improve that stretch on the hamstring. And what I mean by that is, the chiropractic aspect of it. Is there an imbalance in the hips, that's causing some kind of issue with that hamstring? So when do you correct that imbalance so that you get the proper stretch, so that you get the most benefit out of that stretch? So it's knowing what stretches to do, when to do them, and when to go to that next level and correct any issues. So it's kind of like a little mix of all of that. And that's what makes it unique. It's not just throwing somebody on a table and just, hey, we're going to stretch you. Oh, right. yeah. So.
Right. It's real in-depth, a real in-depth process.
Yeah. It's more of like, and then, especially with the athletes, it's very, individualized. You're talking about guys who are making, millions of dollars, and their body is their instrument. So you gotta know what you're doing. You got to make sure you're doing it right, to give them improvement, but also to make sure you're not doing anything correct to hurt them. So you just got to lay it in the right position in the right time, and use the tools the right way, and it all falls into place.
It sounds like a very comprehensive approach to the stretch and all that, because there's nothing more frustrating, because being, not to the level of some of your clients, but, a former athlete, and being an injured athlete, one of the most annoying things to do is to walk into the doctor and they just kind of like already have something planned for you. And it's like, well, you haven't even talked to me. As soon as you're hitting their door, they're like, all right, we're on the clock. Let's go. Let's get you into this program. And it's like, but that's not really how this happened.
Yeah. A conveyor belt,
exactly. And that's one of the most annoying things to, as a patient, just in general, to walk into any place where you're going to seek individualized treatment, and you're treated just like a number, essentially. Like, oh, you're ankle patient number 74. Like,
here's the box. Here's your ankle box.
Here's this book that I wrote 10 years ago about ankle injuries. Do this, please.
Yeah. Everybody's different. Everybody presents their issues different. Like very common for pelvic or hip issues, and it's a common thing, and many people might have it, but how it manifests in each different athlete is different. That hip issue might manifest as an ankle problem in one athlete and a knee problem in another. So you definitely got to see what's going on with that individual and approach that aspect of it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So speaking of, you brought up sort of like, the athletic component, and I know you also mentioned, going into college, it was sort of just the idea of how to, certain things that would ail you and be like, okay, how can I fix this? But what sort of led you to dealing with professional athletes specifically, and how did that connection start, flourishing?
Since I've been practicing, I had a few athletes here and there, just nothing. It wasn't a major part. It was, peppered in every once in a while, but they were always the most, not only I don't want to say the most interesting, that's not but they were the most fun to work with in the sense that, I used to do PI, personal injury. And, you get people, sometimes people just, I don't want to say they don't want to get better. It's they don't want to do what needs to be done to get to where they need to do it. Sometimes it's almost like, hey, just do it for me. I'm good with that. And the athlete, they're listening. They want to know what they could do, not only to get better, or feel better, but to improve. You know what I mean? They want to get to the next level. So it's fun because they're right there with you. And what more can we do? Like, hey, can we do more of that? This is, and so you get great feedback, from the athlete, and just, like I said, a passion just to get well and be better. So that makes it more exciting. That makes it fun. You know what I mean? On my end, as opposed to being like the parent trying to be like, did you do your homework today? and it's like, oh, I forgot. It's like they want to do it. They're doing everything they can plus.
Right. I feel like that's so true because like I feel like your common person, they just sort of either want a pill or I feel like people aren't even really willing to like stretch every day even if it means like, better health. But I think athletes are more, not only, I mean, they're paid inordinately, but they're invested in their bodies.
Definitely. I mean, they like I said, they'll do whatever they have to do. They'll seek out. I mean, you see a lot of these guys, train in like 5 different places. They'll fly to, 5 different states, just to get different training with different people, just to get different aspects. Mm-hmm. So they'll do whatever they have to do, and that's the fun part of it. It makes it fun, and then I just just getting. I think you asked me. You said, how did I get more? Was that the other part?
How did like you start cultivating these relationships? Like where was the takeoff point to where it
get
became
more and more? Yeah. So it's kind of weird. I just like that was just straight just drive, ambition, determination, vision. I just I contacted athletes nonstop. I contacted coaches, trainers, because I knew I had, this thing that they needed. And some of them had, some of the people who tried it, like it was, hey, this is what I've been missing. So I knew it was a product that everybody needed. And I knew the other things that we were offering, it just went together. So I reached out to everybody. If I contacted 100 people, maybe one would answer. That one person would come in, I'd show them what it was about, and they'd be blown away, and they'd be like, that's it, I'm coming. And they would tell somebody else, and that person would come, and then they would tell, like Foye, coming in, I'm sorry, we were talking about him before, but posting, and he's, he tells another teammate, and they come in. It just ballooned from there, and it just wildfire. But to begin with, besides the couple people that I was working with in the past that I continue to work with, it was just drive, man. I reached out to everybody, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. There's probably still athletes that have a message from me on Instagram that they're like, who the heck is this guy? He's sent me a message like 6 times, but it's actually funny. A guy that I worked with this from the NFL this past summer, I had messaged him like 2 or 3 times, and I was working. A trainer brought me in to work with a couple of these players, and he happened to be there, and so he seen what I was doing, and he came up and he's like, oh, hey, can I get in on this? Can I do some of this stuff? And I was like, yeah, of course, not a problem. And so I ended up having a great relationship with him. He came in nonstop. He was one of my best patients. And one day I said to him, I was like, hey man, I reached out to you about a year ago. And I said, you never responded. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, he looks through his Instagram. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, I didn't even see that message. I guess they don't see it if they're not, connected to you or whatever. And so he looked back, he's like, oh man, I'm sorry. I wish I would have got that message earlier. So, but yeah, so it's just, long story short, I just got out there and hustled, man. Hustle.
And I think I want to, just for our listeners, I want for anybody who's like looking to do anything with their life, I use this as a testimony because what you said was huge. It's like, I just reached out to everybody. I kept reaching out. 100 emails might have only led to one, but I feel like a lot of people think it's just like some overnight thing or, but success is always that trying just over and over, like feverishly trying to make it work. And that what you just said is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, you gotta have that vision, man. I saw myself, working with, really, professional athletes or celebrities or whatever. And, I just followed that. I like I said, I've worked with a couple in the past, and I said, I know I can do it. I know they get better. I know they get good results. So I just went straight forward.
Dope.
That's very cool.
So I have a question that's sort of off. We're gonna get more back on the regular train, but I just so it seems that these days a lot more athletes are, suffering from things like ACL injuries, Achilles injuries than before. And I just sort of want your opinion on what do you think like contributes to this? Uh, and is there anything maybe in your field that some of these guys could do to maybe prevent, preventative health in order to prevent some of these catastrophic injuries that occur?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the problem, in my opinion, is just that there's different. Well, probably number one is training. I think has definitely increased, in intensity and duration. Some of these guys are just nonstop. Again, I'm not saying that people in the past weren't, but I mean, there's guys that I see train, and then there's guys that I see train. I mean, they're you know, they get back from the season. Like I had a guy come in today, and he just, his season's done. He came in, he's already training. A lot of guys, they might take it easy, stuff like that. He was right back at it. So I think training intensity, and the duration of the training has led, because I think people are doing more and more. They're, more weights and more reps and all this, so that stuff's increasing. So I think that's part of it. The other part, I think, is the different types of turfs and grass and gravel and dirt and concrete. And you're training on this today and this one tomorrow, and this training facility has this kind of turf and this training facility has that kind of turf. So I just think it's so many different changes. And the other part, I think, is just instabilities that aren't I want to say, I guess, yeah, addressed. I was going to say diagnosed, but not. I don't want to make it sound so much like a injury or something like that. But give you an example, like we were talking about pelvic, pelvic or hip instabilities. And when I say instability, it's just not sitting the way it's supposed to, and it's common on pretty much all of us. Whether it's a repetitive type thing. I mean, getting in and out of the car, we get in and out of the car the same way. Every day, multiple times a day, in and out of the chair the same way, so I think, these instabilities that aren't addressed, the body compensates for them. It compensates as much as it can. And then it's just, for lack of better, straw that broke the camel's back, and something gives, they plant, and boom, it's done. So I think, those three factors are probably, equally combined, and what's leading to that.
Yeah, it's. I know. I was watching. I don't know if you're familiar with who Stephon Marbury is.
Who?
Stephon Marbury. He was a basketball player in the NBA for a while. He went to China, but he played in the NBA for a while. And I remember he was saying that until he went to China, he would always have injuries, like knee injuries and things like that. But he didn't realize until he went to China that his whole body was misaligned, and it would often result in knee injuries or or something like that. And then he finally corrected that problem, and he said he wasn't hurt the whole time he was in China. So
oh yeah, I mean, it's if the body is not balanced the right way, if it's structurally it's not sitting where it's supposed to be, if these muscles, these tendons, they're attached to these bones, and ligaments attached to bones, and if it's not sitting how it was made to perform, you think about it, body is a machine. It's just a machine with parts, and these parts move it. And if those parts aren't correctly sitting in the positions that they're supposed to be in, your machine is working not in the way it's supposed to, like a gear that's not sitting in the right thing. It might keep turning, but eventually something's going to happen with that gear,
and grind away or something.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, stability and balance and stuff like that, very important in the whole situation.
Yeah. Kind of to piggyback on what Marco and the question that Marco posed, really. It's kind of a really cool point in medicine, especially sports medicine, but medicine and healthcare in general here, because of, I think, the internet can be attributed to that. But typically Western medicine is treating the symptoms, and other places, there are people here that do it differently than what the I guess the general community does. But it seems like we're getting to more of an approach that, a more comprehensive approach to the body and medicine. Do you see that at all? Is that kind of, how you base your practice as well?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely. I think more people are getting on that. Like what you were talking about, symptom based is one. You're treating like, yeah, my knee hurts. Okay, well, here, take this. It'll stop your knee from hurting. Okay, your knee stops hurting, but why was your knee hurting? You have to correct whatever it was that was causing that knee to hurt. And there's a great example in chiropractic that chiropractors use a lot. And it's like, if you're driving in your car and the gas light, says, hey, your tank is almost empty. Well, you could put a sticker over, a piece of paper over the gas light. Now you don't see it anymore, right? So does it mean your gas, you're not going to run out of gas? So you can cover up that symptom, but eventually you're going to run out of gas. So you gotta address the problem. And not to say that you don't need that, whatever it is that's going to take that pain away from the knee, but you use it in conjunction. So you got pain in your knee, here's something for the pain. Now let's figure out what's really going on. And that's, I believe, there's chiropractors that believe you don't need any kind of medicine, and that's not the way I go. I think everybody works together. Physical therapists, chiropractors, medical doctors, massage therapists, you name it. Everybody works together. The more work you get, the more people you got on your team, the better you're going to be. So.
Yeah, that's, I just from growing up, I remember, like I went to the doctor's like, man, my knees hurt really bad. I'm 16. Why is this? And, they were like, oh yeah, you have chondromalacia of the patella. And you may know what that is, but those who don't, it essentially meant the underside of my kneecap was being ground away, degenerating. And they were like, okay, cool, here's some ibuprofen. I was like, wait, hold on, what?
Yeah.
It's 800 milligrams. Guy.
Yeah, and I mean, that continued on to my time in the Army. I mean, especially the military. They're like, hey, you're broken, cool, here's some medicine. Now you don't feel as bad.
Yeah, exactly.
But what would you say is the most common injury that you see walking into your doors?
Probably this last off season, I probably think groin injuries. And I hate to kind of pinpoint, I'm sure it's all over the place, but a lot of guys from a certain university here in Georgia seem to have the same common injury. That groin just seemed to bother a lot of people. So yeah, groin probably be the top one, and close behind it probably knee. People complain of knee problems. Those are probably the two top ones. Yeah.
What's usually like oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, with that groin injury, what do you think it was there was an influx of them this year because of certain things that happened, the inability to be as active, or do you think it was just, coincidence?
No, I just think, as talking to the guys, I think, it's all from one school, and they were saying it was very, very tough, very intense training. So I just think they were doing a lot of these, same moves, same drills, whatever it might be. Again, imbalances, just overused a part that wasn't sitting structurally correct. And there you go. I don't think it was, isolated to this, anything that's, current, other than just a grueling training season. For some reason, that's, particular school or something like that.
Sorry for interrupting you, Marco. What were you going to ask?
I was you pretty much answered it. I was just going to ask, like, what is like the underlying issue with all these similar injuries, and you pretty much answered.
Well, like I said, like with groin, and I hate to sound like a broken record, a lot of, in my opinion, a lot of the injuries and stuff that I deal with and I see people with are pelvic based, is what I see. Meaning, like, like I said, like, there might be a knee injury. The underlying, the knee is the injury, but the underlying problem is sometimes it is the hip or the pelvis. Let's say I should say pelvis. The underlying problem is the pelvis. You know, like I said, there's an imbalance. There's something going on, and when there's an imbalance, you know, like I said, each person can manifest the problem from that imbalance different. Right. So like one person might, their body might compensate, which stresses more of the knee. The next guy, same kind of imbalance, might stress their ankle more. Third guy might stress their foot more. You know, it's just different for each person. But I noticed that a lot, not all, but a lot of situations come from a pelvic imbalance or a pelvic situation that needs to be stabilized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, you know, instabilities and misalignments are like a primary factor in this, but as like a possible secondary and tertiary factors, you know, growing up, you were taught that, you know, stay active, stay moving, and you want to, you know, work on your flexibility. Would you say those are major factors in injuries that, you know, a lot of people see, you know, even if just not athletes, just like average Joes, because we sit at desks all day? Do you think that's a contributing factor to injuries and their severity that we suffer them?
Oh yeah, by far. You know, I don't mean to put so much emphasis on the instability. You know, it's flexibility and mobility, range of motion. Those are all important parts too. Yeah, everyone can benefit from stretching. You know, from eight. You know, I say eight. You know, there's a certain point where kids are just, you know, you see little kids, they can put their heads, you know, their feet behind their heads and stuff like that. They're super flexible. So, you know, anybody from 8 to 100, you know, plus can benefit from stretching. There was actually a great article in the AJC a couple of years back. I clipped it and I don't know what I did with it. But it was talking about aging and flexibility and how as we age, we have to continue or increase our flexibility. And if you notice, you know, like you get elderly people, they don't focus on stuff like that. They don't have a lot of movements. They're not doing a lot of exercise. So they lose flexibility, they lose mobility, they lose range of motion, and they get this like shuffling type gait because they don't have the movement, they don't have the motion. And that makes them more prone to falling. So yeah, flexibility is a super important part of it. You know, you can correct the instabilities that I'm talking about, but you then have to go in and increase the flexibility, or just get the flexibility, increase the mobility, the range of motion. It all goes hand in hand. That's what when I think an earlier question you said, like, what separates this from chiropractic and yoga and stuff like that. It's the combination of all of it. You're not just going in and correcting the instability, you're going in and correcting the instability, and then you're increasing the flexibility, you're increasing the range of motion, you're breaking down scar tissue, you're doing it's a complete process. It's not just one.
Right.
And so if you take it just one modality at a time, you're just doing one part. And so that's a big part of the process here is like, when I started working with the professional athletes, I wanted this to be a one-stop shop. I wanted them to be able to go and get everything they needed in one spot. I used to get guys like, oh yeah. So now I'm going to go over here and I have to go get this. And now I have to go over here and go get this. And these guys don't have a lot of time. They're training, all these times. So, come here, do, everything, almost everything. I don't want to say everything, almost everything in one spot. Save the time and get what needs to be done. But yeah, flexibility is super, super important. It's a huge factor. It's important for athletes. It's important for everyday Joes. Just having flexibility is key. Hang on, I can't hear you.
You're muted, bro.
Oh, there you go.
Because I'm talking to a muted mic. It's not your fault. At least once a show, man. At least once a show.
I was like, oh, something would happen. Something with my computer here.
No, that's the problem here, not on your equipment. So to stay on topic, recently, it's a divergent opinion on stretching that we've come across in the last couple of years. Because growing up, it was always stretch before you play, stretch before you play. That's the most important thing. And then now you're hearing that stretching should be treated as an exercise itself. And if you do it beforehand, you can weaken yourself and, be more susceptible to injuries. What is your professional opinion, or what advice can you offer on this? How should stretching be addressed when activity is, at hand?
Well, if you ask, this is what I tell people because I get this question a lot. It is, to me, I'd say it's based on the individual and how they feel. But if you're asking me my personal opinion, I say if you can only pick one, right? Like, hey, I can either stretch before or I can stretch after. And you're about to go play a football game, I'm going to tell you to stretch before. Right? You can only pick one. Now, ideally, stretching before and stretching after, that's ideal. But if you tell me, hey, I got to pick one, I would say stretch before, get everything ready, get everything going, get it warmed up for what you're about to do. As far as stretching and the controversies, like whether you should, you shouldn't stretch before because you can tear or I forgot what you said. You said overwork the muscle, I think you said.
What I was reading, it's been a while, so it's going to be spotty, but essentially, stretching is an exercise in and of itself. So when you're stretching those tendons and those ligaments, you're creating little, micro tears in them essentially, or you're just stretching them out.
Yeah.
And so therefore you are making them weaker and more susceptible to being injured while playing a high activity sport like football or basketball.
Yes. And so, but it's the way I can explain it is it depends on the type of stretching. So warming up, that to me in my brain, that's stretching. So like warming up, whether it's a dynamic, warm up or a dynamic mobility warm up, like you're just going through ranges of motion as you're walking or running, or if you just get down and you do a stretch, like I had talked about the PNF stretching before. I wouldn't say, hey, let's do some PNF stretching now get in there and play quarterback. It's a very intense, it's a workout. It's a workout for the person getting stretched. It's a workout for the person doing the stretching when you're doing something like PNF stretching. So it depends on the type of stretching that you're doing. The type of assisted stretching that we're doing here with the athletes, that's not the same thing if they were like, hey man, I need you on the sideline, stretch me out before the game. I wouldn't do exactly the same thing. The goal with what I'm doing is I'm looking for long-term, when they're here at the facility, besides the recovery aspect of it and getting the repairing and getting everything ready for, the next day or, what you beat up that day or whatever, is I'm looking to make long-term gains. And the best way I can liken it to is like a gymnast. Like a gymnast has mobility, they have range of motion, they have flexibility. If you ask a gymnast to do a split right there, they'll do a split. They don't have to warm up. Should they warm up? Yeah, it'd be a good idea, but they don't have to warm up. They could do a split right there. And that's long-term, that's sustainable flexibility, range of motion. And that's what we're working on so that the athletes have that. So that's not, I wouldn't do that kind of work if they were going to go and about to do, or play a game or something like that, or something like that. It just, you wouldn't do, a bunch of, pull-ups before you're about to do a pull-up contest. You know what I mean? Like, you see how many, it's the same kind of thing. So you're right. It just depends on the type of stretching that you're going to do. So pre-game, post-game, long-term, it's just a different type of stretching. You got to know when to use what type of stretch.
Gotcha. I mean, I like that answer. It makes the most sense. At least in my brain, it does.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's valid on this show.
That makes because I know I listen to 92.9 the game sometimes, and I know on the weekends, I guess they have a doctor that comes on and talks. And one segment that they cut for one of their highlights, he was pretty much like, "Yeah, don't stretch." Just like he's like, "Don't stretch before, like maybe after, but definitely not before." Like, and I was like, "Wow, is that definitive?" But I like your answer a lot better. Like,
yeah,
the appropriate stretch.
There's no definite. Like, I mean, everything that every doctor, when I was growing up, before I went to school or anything like that, physical therapists, trainers, doctors, whatever it might be. I mean, the consensus I thought was always stretching is beneficial. I've had athletes where I worked on them and their trainers were like, nah, don't go do any stretch. I had actually 2 athletes where they told me they didn't want to stretch because they didn't want to lose their explosiveness. And that blew my mind. I was just like, you're going to lose your explosive. Yeah, I want to keep my muscles real tight so that I'm explosive. And so I went and I'm like, okay, I went and pulled up a bunch of peer reviewed documents on how, stretching improves performance and acceleration and explosiveness and stuff. And I sent it over to them. And but sometimes people have a mindset, or they have somebody in their corner that has a certain mindset. And you can't get through to everybody. You do what you can.
I think what they meant by explosiveness is maybe not the way you thought, but they wanted their muscles and ligaments really tight, so when they break, they explode explosively. It's a very powerful explosion.
So when they tear, you mean?
Right? Exactly. Yeah, when they tear their hamstring, you can hear it from across the field.
Yeah. You want a nice loud pop. I think right.
So, you mentioned the gymnast. It's kind of, let me segue to this. So do you find that certain builds or body types are more susceptible to like severe injuries?
Not so much. Not so much. I mean, I guess it'd be more, I guess, build then. Not so much body type, but a build. Like, the more muscle you're going to have on you, the more you're going to protect a joint, if that makes sense. Like, the more, the stronger, a good example is core. The stronger your core is, the less there's going to be a problem with your, let's say, low back or something like that. And if you think about, the core is basically small muscles in the spine and in the pelvic and all that region area, that are making those joints, which is basically what the spine is a lot of joints, stronger. So it's the same kind of thing, whether it's a knee, shoulder. The stronger those muscles that protect that surround that joint, the stronger the joint's going to be. So I think I guess it would the answer would be, I guess, build, meaning less muscle mass might make you a little more susceptible to injury because you don't have the strength to protect it. That's probably the best answer I can.
Okay, makes sense.
So I've also heard that women athletes are more prone to have severe knee injuries. Is that how true is that?
I statistically, I think it is they are. I don't know the exact number, but they are more prone to injuries. And there are a few different reasons behind it. Again, I'm not saying one is correct or not correct, but like a good example is, women, like what I was just talking about, women inherently have less muscle than a guy in general. Don't get me wrong, there's some jacked girls out there too, but in general, women have less muscle mass, which that less muscle mass leaves that joint susceptible. That being a knee. The knee is susceptible to that because and I think I want to say that in a female, a lot of times it's the quad that's stronger and the hamstring that's weaker, or it might be vice versa. I don't remember exactly, but and so so I think it's part that. Also, if you want to get kind of technical, you can look at structure. We're all structured. Men and women are structured similar, but there are small differences like hip girth and things like that. And you can argue that the girth of the hips can put different stresses on those ligaments that are, let's say, not protected by that muscle mass now. And so those ligaments are asked to perform at a higher level or take up a load more than, let's say, a man, because they have that muscle mass protecting, or they don't have that hip girth that's causing that gait. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
So Would you recommend your program for just any average Joe or Jane, or is it more so geared towards athletes and just active people in general?
Well, that's what I was trying to explain before. So I have, the way I look at it is almost I have two different businesses at this point, right? So I have Stretch Dynamics, which basically would be for your average Joe. Mm-hmm. And then I have the Sports Dynamic Recovery, and that would be more, more geared towards the athlete. Whether it's, middle school, high school athlete, college pro, whatever it might be, that's more focused for them. But if grandma wants to come in, Stretch Dynamics, we just take a look at, hey, is there any artificial hips? Is there any screws, pins, bolts, anything like that? Let's adapt to what's going on. How far can you go? How brittle? Do you have osteoporosis? Things like that. Yeah. So yeah, anybody, and they actually, let's like an elderly person or a weekend warrior, guy who, plays golf or tennis or, tennis mom or whatever it might be. They can benefit, a lot from it too. Just most people in general are not flexible. Most people do not have, and when and even people who are stretching on their own, they're usually not doing it right, or they're just just not doing it correct. It's just not efficient. So I think everybody can definitely benefit from the stretching. It's just a matter of your grandma isn't going to need the recovery, the sports aspect of recovery. I'm not going to get in there and do some scraping on her, cupping on her. Not that to say she couldn't do it, but that's I'm going to take a different approach with the grandma. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I said, there are you can cup grandma and you can get in there and scrape certain areas, but yeah,
I was going to say, you don't know my grandma. So in the same vein, how much can a daily stretch, really improve someone's health and lifestyle? And if you had to recommend just, I know this is trying to pigeonhole you into one answer here, but if you could say a stretch that would make the average Joe's life so much better or easier, what stretch would that be?
That's a tough one. I might have to go with something. Oh man, I'm torn on this one. I might have to say like hamstring, but I'm torn between groin and even calf. And I tend to stay with lower body just because if you're talking about somebody's having an issue, they can't grab things or the shoulder's not moving right, but just general movements for most people, you're talking lower body. And so, hamstring, like doing touching your toes is a good stretch, or sitting down and reaching for your toes is a good stretch, just because you're getting the hamstrings. You can even get a little bit of low back and upper back and calf in there. But if you bring it down to one muscle group, that's tough. Hamstring, probably hamstring, maybe calf. Groin, I'm might be a little bit, but just depends on how you're moving. I might tend to go with hamstring. Probably is a better all around. Because it's going to affect the hip, and it's hard. I mean, you can get, depending on the age, hip stretches like hip flexors and stuff like that might also be a good one, but depending on their age, it might be a little bit harder for them to do. I think everybody can do a hamstring type motion, a hamstring type stretch. So yeah.
So basically head down to the reach, head over your toes and reaching for your toes. Essentially, that's what you would recommend.
Yeah. So like a bent over toe touch, or you can sit on the ground and lean forward and touch your toes. If you don't have the balance, right. And that's good for elderly people who don't have the balance. But again, if there's a balance issue, that's something that needs to be worked on too. Why is there not a balance? Why is the balance not there?
I knew it wouldn't be that simple of an answer.
Yeah.
I knew it. I mean, just from what you've said before, but it was like, hey, for anyone listening, while you're probably sitting at your desk or driving your car for a job. You heard it here. Stretch your hamstrings, ladies and gentlemen.
I know for a while there, I was like, I would wake up and I just try to like sit down and touch my toes. And after a couple of days, it really did help loosen like just the tightness but it was really hard. Like it's really hard.
I'm telling you, most people are not flexible. Even people that say I stretch all the time. I stretch before I work out. I stretch before I go for a run. They're still usually not flexible. They don't have the range of motion that they would. And like as I'm talking to you and as you're saying that, when I'm saying the hamstring, you're getting a back, because now I'm thinking about a lot of the general public, they have back issues. So you're gonna get some back stretch. You're gonna get upper, mid, low back in that stretch with the hamstrings. So that's another reason it would be good for just everybody.
And that gluteus too, because I know that
giant
one
muscle.
was tight.
Yeah, giant muscle. I'm telling you, it's neglected just because it's the glute. It's your butt. If you get somebody that works on it, you really feel it, because like I said, it's a muscle that's neglected just because the stigma of you're touching somebody's butt, or what I mean, like that. So it's neglected in general on
it's just for sitting.
Most people. Yeah, that's how, or grabbing, hey. But yeah, so it's I think it's neglected, and it definitely, I mean, when you get work done on it, you're like, wow, I didn't even know there was pain there. I didn't know there was trigger points there, or it's crazy.
Just one more component of that. I mean, how long should a person at minimum dedicate to stretching a day, like time wise?
Everybody has, it's the way things are and how crazy people's lifestyles. I'm sure now people have more time, with lockdowns and stay at home and stuff like that. But if you did, ideal, like a 30-minute in the morning, but even a 15-minute in the morning and a 15-minute at night before you go to bed, I mean, you'd see tremendous results, month, 2 months down the road. If you chart the progress, if you, make marks and take pictures. Oh, this is how far I'm going down, and this is how far my fingers are getting, and this is how far I'm touching. And just do 15 minutes, just 15 minutes each day. And we do and this is what people, I say I'm in the work of making like I don't want to call it a book, but like a handout for patients, because I always get like, what can I do at home? So I'm working on it. But I tell people the way we do things here is, when I'm working with my athletes, my general public, whatever it might be, we use something called an escalating range of motion. And so you're increasing the level of the intensity, meaning we use 40, 60, 80% of a full stretch, right? So if I'm stretching your hamstring, I'm going to bring your leg up. I'm going to tell you, I only want to go to 40%. I want you to give me the feedback and tell me when you think you're at 40% of a full stretch. So, a little less than halfway there. So we go to 40% of that, hold that there for a little bit. We let it relax. Then we go up to 60%. We hold that there. We let it relax. Then we max out at 80%. So we don't even go to 100%. We go to 80%. We hold that there, because by the time we get from 40 to 80, they're going to be past that 100% if we just rammed it up there. Right? If we just rammed it to 100%, and that's how most people stretch. They just ram right to 100%. They're shaking, they're hurting, they're, they don't want to do it. And you leave yourself susceptible to, like you were saying, or somebody was saying, micro tears, things like that, because it's a workout. If you ram yourself to 100% and you're holding at it, it's a, isometric, well, not asymmetric, but it's a contraction. You're holding that, not a contraction, but you're holding that stretch, and it's intense, and you can cause like little micro tears. Yeah. So I tell people, when you're doing it at home, just do the same kind of thing. Do an escalating range of motion, 40, 60, 80%, and let it relax, and do it that way. So yeah, like 15 minutes is good, but if 30 minutes be great, and 30 minutes at night, or 15 minutes too, so, but you'll see tremendous results.
For sure. So earlier pre-show, once again, we were talking about the ageless, the incomparable Tom Brady, 46-year-old, going strong with the opportunity to play in another Super Bowl at 46. And I sort of want to ask you, so
You
a
added
couple
a
of
few
years,
years
maybe,
to it.
what'd you say?
He's 43.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is he
43,
43?
Yeah,
Yeah, I was about to say he's not almost 50, Marco. I mean,
43.
he's been in our
Who's
dreams and our
46?
nightmares for
What
a
was I
long
thinking?
time.
What was I thinking? 46. Who's 46?
I don't know who's 46. Nobody in the NFL.
Well, he's gonna be playing until he's 46.
I mean,
But so he's 43 and still going strong. And I know maybe 2-3 years ago, I think it might have been, it was either the Super Bowl against us or the one against the Eagles. But Alex Guerrero, his controversial trainer, made news. He calls himself an alternative medicine practitioner. I'm not sure if he's a doctor or not. I'm not sure. But it was pretty much an extensive, like they showed it on his little documentary on Facebook, and it was pretty much an extensive stretching regimen that he went through, which emphasized pliability over, say getting extra muscle, which is interesting because you also mentioned earlier about how some athletes think like the tight muscles is a good thing. But this is like the opposite of that. So what is your opinion on, if you're familiar with Alex Guerrero and some of his works, like what is your opinion on that and the intensive stretching and sort of the tie into having a long career like Tom Brady?
I mean, I definitely think, like, again, it's what I do. So, stretching is definitely key. I think it has great benefit, especially to these athletes. I definitely think it will increase their career, their longevity, but it also increase their performance and you don't want to just be in the NFL, just being in the NFL and not being able to perform. So I think it, not only keeps them, active and on the field, but I think it actually moves you up to another level where you can actually perform with guys that are younger than you. That range of motion, that mobility is very important. That flexibility is key to performance. So I think it's very important. I think it's a more important key than what most people give it credit for. Like, I don't think that at this point that stretching and flexibility and stuff has the respect that it should yet. But I do believe in a balance. Like I was talking about before, I definitely think there is a balance. Like you have to have the strength and muscle to protect your body, to protect yourself, to perform, to do things, to have the strength to even throw the ball further. So that's why I think there's a balance, because, you're throwing the ball, your range of motion in your shoulder. As you age, you start to lose that range. So if you're increasing that range and you're building on it, and you're just making it better and that flexibility, that's going to help with your throwing the ball too. But like I said, I think it's more of a balance. I think it's a balance where you have to have that strength and that muscle there to protect the joint, to protect yourself, for your ability, and then you have to have those muscles be flexible, and you have to have that range of motion. So if you look at me, I don't think his premise is off. I don't think he's wrong. I wouldn't say that. I believe in more balance. I don't know exactly how much stretching as opposed to lifting he's doing. I do think that people or athletes do a lot more muscle work, strength training by far than any kind of flexibility work. So I could see where adding more would, but again, I don't know exactly what type of regimen he does and how much, he's doing, but I can see an increase in flexibility and range of motion like that will definitely increase your performance. And I think people, I think athletes are starting to realize that. And I think that's why, like one of your questions earlier, like why do you think, people are coming? Well, I think they're starting to realize. I think, they're seeing the benefits, they're feeling the benefits. Like I'll stretch an athlete he'll feel great, and he'll go and tell another athlete, and they're like, what? And they'll come in and they'll feel it, and they'll be like, wow, he wasn't lying, he wasn't joking. And so they see the benefits, and not only the ability to I don't want to say like kind of in a way heal, but just even lack of injury, just improve or recover from just beating your body up. So I definitely think he's on the right track as far as increasing that. But I would just always say, yeah, balance is important.
They always say the best ability is your availability. So, I mean, by that, you're increasing their abilities.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
You, with your balance, with that, you pretty much answered the next question as well, which was muscle density versus flexibility. And like you said, you need a perfect balance. But I don't know if you ever saw the procedures Alex was doing on Tom, but it looked rigorous.
Oh,
rigorous. Like he was like coming in, he would like and he would like move his arm like this, and he'd like do it a whole. It was almost like they were going 100, like you were saying, they were going 100%. But
oh wow.
But I don't know if like what they did prior to that. I'm sure they just recorded that because it was the best for the camera. But
yeah. I got to check it out. Check it out. Yeah, because you of course you don't want to do like getting warmed up and the boring stuff. You just get into the stuff that's like, oh wow, I can't believe that person. It's like but I got to check it out. I haven't seen the exact exact routine or what he was doing, but just as long as it's safe, and I'm sure it was, because he's working with a pro athlete, and I'm sure the athlete wouldn't do it if he wasn't, if he was feeling, like it's not working or not feeling good to him. But yeah, I mean, like I said, just to repeat myself, flexibility is key. Strength is super important, but I think flexibility and range of motion and mobility aren't given the respect, and I think that's little by little, change it little by little.
The kind of on the same topic, Micah had actually sent me this guy not too long ago, and his name is Ben Patrick. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He doesn't seem to have a degree in this, but he seems to be more of a coach. Like he went along the trainer route, and he has a very similar story in the likes that he got injured and he's like, okay, now how do I fix this in myself? So kind of similar to you, but he had been mentioning some things, and I know this isn't, it's actually, he's one of the few people that I'm hearing talk about this, so you may not know too much about it, but he talks about strength inside the joints and building strength, like specifically inside the knee itself. And it's a very interesting approach to it. If you want to check him out, he's Knees Over Toes guy is his Instagram.
Knees Over Toes. Okay, yeah, definitely check it out. I always love seeing what other people do, and there's always room to improve and learn from other people. That's one thing. I'm not naive to think that I know everything, and I'm so it's I always love going on to other people, seeing what other people do, and seeing what's out there. I love taking courses and stuff and learning new things. But yeah, I'll definitely want to check that out.
It'd be crazy for any doctor to come out and say, oh yeah, my way is the best way, and I know everything about it. I'd be like, okay, bye, see you later.
Yeah. But well, there are some people like that.
Yeah. Oh no, trust me, I know, and I've walked in and out very quickly.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And he focuses a lot on like preventing ACL tears, preventing Achilles tears and things like that, because I think that was what he suffered early on. But it's very interesting work. We actually I sent it to one of our previous guests who had just suffered an ACL injury. He was a he's a high-end college athlete and tore his ACL. And I was like, hey, look, check this out. And he's actually started doing some of the things. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I'm going to definitely check it out.
Hey, Ryan, can you let me share my screen real quick? I have this one little clip. I just want
Yep, go for it.
All right. It's sort of funny, but I want to see if this looks like something that maybe y'all do. You see what's going?
Oh, this is Guerrero.
Yeah, he's going in on his hamstring right there. Does this look like something familiar?
Oh, wow. No, I'm not saying it, again, I'm not going to say there's anything wrong with that. Everybody has their own technique. It looks very aggressive. It looks like he's kind of like more like doing like it's not so much a stretch. It looks more like a release technique. And that's like a whole nother, when you have like a muscle that's restricted or not firing the way it's supposed to. You know, sometimes you have to activate it or release it to so that it functions properly.
Right.
Yeah, that doesn't look so much more like stretching, but it looks more like I'm just going to call it muscle work.
Okay.
You know, it's yeah, like, you know, whether it be a release technique or activation technique or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That definitely looked like some of the things I've seen on like chiropractic videos. Dudes are like cringing, like, oh God, in pain, writhing in pain.
Yep.
So now that we've peppered you with questions for a little bit over an hour here, you know, this seems like something. This seems like your passion. It seems like you know, you found something that you really enjoy it, and it's, you know, it is reflected in your work and the way you talk about it. So it's really cool. We want to give you a minute to, you know, talk about anything that you're doing or anything that you're working on, or, you know, even like a lesser known fact about stretching or health or whatever. You know, the floor is yours if you want to talk about anything.
Ooh, I don't know. I'm just working on, you know, obviously with COVID hitting, I opened a new facility in Duluth, not far from the Norcross location that you were talking about. And so I'm just, you know, concentrating my time, just trying to finish that up. You know, like I said, COVID, I literally signed the lease not too long after COVID had hit. And so I'm just trying to get it situated and set up. So I spend, you know, bulk of my time getting it. I'm looking for like a locker room vibe for athletes to come in and just, you know, relax, whether it's high school, college, pro. You know, we have food, snacks for them. You know, during the off season when we had our what I would call recovery days, you know, when COVID was going on, we had a chef come in, and the chef would, you know, bring in meals and prepare food right there, and so, you know, they would come after training. They would be able to have, you know, whether it's a protein drink or recovery drink or something like that, some food, get the services they need. So yeah, I just been spending my time trying to get this completely finished, set up. So yeah, that's the only things I'm working on right now, and just again adding to my tool belt. You know, doing different continuing ed and learning, you know, more and more techniques. I'm actually going to become a CCSP, which is a certified chiropractic sports. Well, in Georgia, you can't say physician, but certified chiropractic sports practitioner. In other states, it's your certified chiropractic sports physician. So I'm finishing that up just to have, you know, certification. It's always good to have more certification. So I'm working on that, and yeah, that's it. You know, just if people want to come in and check it out, you know, they come in. I have a spot that's for everybody, and I have a spot that's for athletes.
Very cool. I'm definitely going to have to swing by your way here in the future, because I mean, with sports and the Army, man, it's left my body in some shape.
Yeah, come on in. We'll get you right. I'd love to give you the tour, you know, a tour of the place. Hopefully I'll have it a little more finished by then, and you could check out you know, all the stuff that we got. You know, I mean, have a lot of different modalities. It's, you know, 5,000 square feet that I moved into, and that's why it's taken so long. You know, I have a cryo chamber, hyperbaric chamber. I have 3 infrared saunas right now. 2 of them are salt caves, chromotherapy, and what else? We have shockwave. You know, we do cupping. We have a PT that comes in, just dry needling.
Wait, what is shockwave? Is that like electric acupuncture type stuff, or what is that?
No. The easiest way I could say is describe it. It's not the best way. It's like a really souped up steroid version of ultrasound. Okay. It sends a really strong shock impulse into the joint, the muscle, whatever it is that's injured. And it's really, it's great for pinpointing a spot, like finding where an injury really is, but it helps increase the healing process, you know, helping lay down a new matrix to heal that tissue. So it's a really good, you know, I use it on a lot of my athletes. I actually had somebody in actually today, a little bit before I got on with you guys, that they got hit last game of the season, he got hit in the knee with a helmet, and he was like, he didn't feel like getting it taken care of there, so he just left, for the season, came back over here, and so we did a little work. You did a little scraping, put a little bit of I use a special I call it a special sauce that I use with my athletes to help bring down inflammation and decrease pain. So we did a little work with that, did a little scraping to break down any scar tissue, and then we put the shockwave on it. And then for him, I taped it up to get rid of any kind of swelling or anything like that he had. Some rock tape, and he felt good, and he's coming back, for another treatment, because sometimes it takes a couple, but it's really good. It's a really good modality. What else we have? Our version of Game Ready, which is it's called Battle Ready. It's a cold compression sleeves, knee, ankle, shoulder, stuff like that, along with our version of like a Normatec, so they can use those. We have an oxygen bar. We do ionic detoxes here too. So yeah, we try to offer them. We have a room set up for IVs, but we're not starting them yet with COVID going on. It's just, so eventually we'll have a IV lounge going on. So yeah, it's a whole big major plan to it. So everybody can just come get what they need, after training.
You weren't kidding about a one-stop shop. Like,
sounds amazing.
Yeah. And there's more to come. I got a cold laser coming, and I'm looking at what's called a PEMF, pulse electromagnetic frequency. It's kind of similar. I don't want to say similar, but it mimics the shockwave in a way, but it uses electromagnetic pulse to heal injuries, and it gets really great reviews and really good results on patients. So we're looking at getting one of those in. So yeah, just constantly looking to always add in any new modalities. I really wanted to get in a dry float, a float tank, but just the upkeep and maintenance and sanitation on it is just so crazy. But they have something called a dry float, and so it mimics the float tank, but there's a film that you put on that's between the person and the water, and they literally just sink down into it, but they don't get wet because there's a film. And it has that same, you're not getting the benefit. One of the benefits of a float tank is the minerals in the water. You're not getting that, but you are getting the isolation and the psychological and mental release in letting go in that. So we were looking at something like that. We have a hydro massage now.
Oh, I love those things.
Yeah, I go on there sometimes and just, I fall asleep on that thing. But yeah, stim, ultrasound. We're gonna have a spot with turf that has rollout stuff. We got like chirp wheels and so rights and foam rollers and all that kind of stuff, and then vibe platforms. So yeah, just constantly adding anything and everything for recovery. It's going to be in here at some point.
I'll have to check out your isolation waterbed.
Well, I don't. I haven't got the dry float thing yet, but you can check out. You can come use our what we call a hydro massage, massage bed. Yeah, you can come and chill out on that thing. That thing's great. Yeah, I'm looking into the dry float, but I don't have that one yet.
Very cool.
Yeah. I will say that's a hell of a vision.
yeah, we gotta get it done. Like I said, I've been working on it for a while. I've been buying little things piece by piece until I had it before I opened up. I think the last big thing I bought was the cryo chamber, and ours is portable. That's the cool thing about our cryo chamber. So I can pack it up and go to a training facility. Wow. As long as there's a nitrogen tank there, I just hook up, and I can go to your house. You know what I mean? You just get a nitrogen tank delivered to your house. I can hook up at your house and do cryo sessions right at your house. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's a really cool, unique. I think there's only like one other one in Georgia. Wow. It's down in Macon. Another guy down there he has a good setup down there too, and he has a portable one down there too.
What's up?
Yeah.
So just on a lighter note, we talked a lot about sports. Like, who's your favorite football team, and what you think about the Super Bowl and all that?
Oh man, so being from New Jersey, I gotta say I like the Giants. I do like the Giants. I'm gonna say it like I gotta like the Giants. I like the Giants, but growing up, I was a Raider fan. I was just I just always I wanted to be Howie Long. So that was 75 my number when I was in high school. I loved it. I guess I have to say I'm a Raiders fan too, but I'm just a player fan. And then just working with these guys just made it, that much more. I remember when fantasy football started coming around. I guess I don't know how long it's been around, but a couple of friends of mine told me about it, and I was just like, nah, I'm not doing that. And so I started doing it. We were all in school, and man, I guess that's why I like fantasy football too, because it's just concentrated on the players. I think it's more exciting and more interesting to watch how each different player performs rather than just saying, hey, this is my team and I'm just going to isolate myself to this.
Right.
I love watching, this running back or this receiver or this linebacker from this team. It's just, I just think that's the coolest. But, as far as the Super Bowl, it's tough. I work with some guys from the different teams, so that always skews it. So I almost kind of like go and say, well, how many guys am I working on this team as opposed to that team? Okay, so I'm going to go with the one that more guys work with, just because I got to support them. So if I work with 3 guys on this team and 1 guy on this team, I'm going with the 3 guys on the other team. So I like Tampa. Like I said, there's some guys I work with there, and I respect Tom Brady. I like what he's out to prove. I like the fact that he's an older dude and he's going to get it done, and he's going to show that it was him, leaving the Patriots. And so I like Tampa. I like that whole setup. I do like when you brought up a good point, Aaron Rodgers. It is he's proven a point too.
Right.
He's proven that, like, hey man, don't count me out, and he showed him.
I used to be the GOAT.
yeah. He's like, not used to be. He's like,
right,
I'm show you this. Yeah. So yeah, I do like that. But so I guess Tampa, but on the other side, I think it'd be cool to see Buffalo. I'm not a Buffalo fan, or anything like that. I work with guys from Kansas City, so I'd have to go and pick Kansas City just because, again, players outnumber the amount of players. So, and it's an interesting team. Patrick Mahomes, you got to respect. I mean, just a tremendous athlete with tremendous gifts. People like Tyreek Hill and Nico Harmon, the speed on those guys is just, speak of Ryan, we were talking, I think you were talking about Foye, and we were talking about how such a great season he had this year. And it was funny, we were talking about me and him were talking about something about between the Patrick Mahomes and Brady and facing them and stuff. And when he went out and got the interception on Mahomes, I was ecstatic for him. I saw him and I'm watching it, and Foye is a fast dude. He's fast for a linebacker. Yeah, and he's a big dude, man. He's packed with muscle, man, and he was hauling, and I yeah, exactly. I told him, man, I said, listen, no offense, man, I was just watching that and I was like, you were jet, man. I was like, that's it. And then all of a sudden it looked like you stood still, like you stopped, because all of a sudden out of nowhere, Tyreek Hill just like it took like three strides on you. I was like, wow, the speed, man. It was incredible. But yeah, so you got to respect that. So I think it'd be cool to see Tampa and Buffalo, but I think Tampa and the Chiefs would be a great game, and who I can't pick a favorite, man. There's guys that I like on both teams, so that'd be tough.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I realized last week that I hate Tom Brady more than I hate the Saints. So when the Buccaneers won, I was like, oh, they've hurt me more. Tom Brady's hurt me. I know, right? I hate the Saints, but Tom Brady's hurt me more.
That seems to be the. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just saying I was torn because I can't stand Brady, but I absolutely can't stand Sean Payton. So it was just like,
It was like watching the two bullies fight, and you're like, I hope they both knock each other out. All right. So for our listeners, they obviously know they can find us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. By the way, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. But can you tell the people how to find you?
Yeah, sure. The best way, you can always Instagram. I have two different ones. I have at SD Recovery. I also have at the Stretch Doctor. So you can always message me there. Also Twitter. I think that one's at SD Recovery also. And I have an email. So again, everything's switching over to the new business. So I don't have I'm switching phone system, so I can't give a number out, but the email would be info@stretchdynamics.com until we get everything set up for the new facility. So I'm still just using the Stretch Dynamics for both businesses to come in. So yeah, so info@stretchdynamics.com. And then, like I said, any of those social media platforms, I try to get back right away. Instagram probably faster than any of the other ones.
Very cool.
You gotta hit up Howie Long. You gotta get him in there.
yeah. No, that'd be cool, man. I'd love to meet him. Yeah.
You need to hit up your boy Saquon since you're a Giants fan.
Yeah. Well, I was hoping to. I have a friend who is a chiropractor up in New Jersey, so I'm trying to get it so that we expand up into New Jersey to work with, because like I said, there's a pocket of Jets guys that come down here, and I happen to tap into that pocket. So it was a no-brainer to say, hey, we can expand up there during the season. And there is I think it's only one guy from the Giants that I work with, Lorenzo from Georgia.
Lorenzo Carter.
Yeah. So he's another great guy. But it's just seeing if I can get up there. Yeah, to work on some of those other guys. That'd be great, especially in my old stomping grounds.
Very cool. All right. So thanks so much for coming on and spending some time with us and telling us about yourself, your business, and what you do and how it can benefit people. We're eternally grateful.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And
so
now
much.
I appreciate you having me on.
Hey, look, put in a word with Foye for us. We want him on. We want your boy Foye on. He's
coming back in a couple weeks, so I'll definitely talk to him and see. He's a great guy, man. He'd probably definitely do it.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of red tape with the teams and stuff that there might be.
Oh, is there? Oh, see, I didn't know about that.
So, I mean,
well, you could ask him and see.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll find out. Yeah, it's not a problem. He's super down to earth, man. Great. One of the great guys, man.
That's what it seems like when he did that that behind the scenes or whatever it was, like inside the Falcons training camp when he did it, he hosted. I was like, oh yeah, he seems like a real cool guy.
Yeah, he's super down to earth, man. And, it's just genuine, man. Genuine, very nice and not like inflated or ego driven or anything like that. Just cool, and he'll like I said, like talk to you like you're anybody else, and I respect it. I think that's cool. There's guys out there that are like, hey, I'm too cool for you, but not many. Most of the guys are cool as anything, but I respect the fact that he's like that. So I'll definitely ask him.
Cool. Yeah. Once again, thanks for coming on. Oh, what we need to do is we need to get you some Fish and Grits gear. We got some hoodies and shirts coming out. We'll swing one by your way there.
Oh, that's awesome. I appreciate it.
But yeah.
5XL.
Well, I've been working out a little bit, so I'm trying to get down to that XL or actually that L sometime.
Okay.
Soon, but but
we just got to make sure it's tall.
Right.
Oh. Yeah, there you go. I gotta get you guys some. We're making up some SD recovery gear too, so I'll get you guys some stuff too.
Cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Well, everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for sticking around. Again, this is Dr. Tom. I'm gonna mess it up. HOURIN.
No, you got it right. There you go.
HOURIN, the Stretch Doctor.
Stretch Doc.
the Stretch Doctor. And we are Fish and Grits, the podcast. Peace.
Peace.